Did you know that 75% of people believe they aren't living up to their creative potential? That's a staggering number, especially when research shows that everyone can be creative. A study from Adobe even revealed that companies that foster creativity are 3.5 times more likely to outperform their competitors in revenue growth. But here's the twist. Most people misunderstand how creativity really works. It's not some magical ability you're born with. It's a skill you can build, just like learning to ride a bike. In this video, we're going to dive deep into how creative thinking really works, and why so many of us have it wrong. We'll bust the myth of the creative gene, reveal how boredom can boost your creativity, and even show you how to train your brain to be creative on command. Stick around, because by the end, you'll realize you've been more creative than you ever thought possible. Chapter 1. The myth of the creative gene. You're not born with it. Most people believe you're either born creative or you're not. But science says otherwise. A 2013 study published in Psychological Science found that creativity is actually more about mindset than genetics. Researchers discovered that people who believe they can become more creative actually do so. Here's the truth. Creativity is about practice, not talent. Psychologist and author Carol Dweck talks about the growth mindset in her book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. According to Dweck, the more we believe we can grow and improve in any area, including creativity, the more likely we are to take risks and try new things, both key to creative thinking. Want to boost your creativity? Start by changing your mindset. Instead of thinking, "I'm just not creative," shift to, "I'm learning to be more creative every day." This small mental shift opens up new possibilities and encourages you to experiment without fear of failure. Another way to enhance creativity is to engage in activities that push you out of your comfort zone. Try something new, like a dance class or learning a new language. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people who engage in diverse experiences often develop more creative solutions to problems. Creativity isn't about being naturally gifted, it's about giving yourself the freedom to explore. Chapter 2. Creative Combos. Merging ideas in unlikely ways. One of the best-kept secrets of creative thinking is the art of combining seemingly unrelated ideas. Steve Jobs once said, "Creativity is just connecting things." And he was right. Many of the world's most brilliant ideas came from merging two concepts that, at first glance, had nothing to do with each other. Take the invention of Velcro, for example. In the 1940s, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Mestral went for a walk and noticed burrs sticking to his clothes. Instead of brushing them off, he studied how the tiny hooks clung to the fabric. This simple observation led to the invention of Velcro, an entirely new way of fastening things. You can train yourself to think like this, too. Start by keeping a list of random ideas or things that interest you. Then, try mixing them together. For example, what happens when you combine a cooking technique with a tech gadget? Or blend principles from art with problem solving in business? One exercise that works wonders is forced connections. Take two unrelated objects, say, a pencil and a phone, and brainstorm how they might be connected or inspire something new. This approach forces your brain to think outside of its usual pathways, opening up creative possibilities. It's this very technique that leads to innovation, both in business and art. Interestingly, research from cognitive science suggests that people who regularly practice connecting dissimilar ideas are 22% more likely to solve complex problems creatively. The more you practice mixing ideas, the easier it becomes to spark new and innovative solutions. Chapter 3. The Magic of Boredom. Why doing nothing boosts creativity in today's fast-paced world? We're almost afraid of boredom. But here's a surprising fact. Boredom might actually be your best friend when it comes to creativity. A study published in the Academy of Management Discoveries found that when participants were bored before a task, they came up with more creative ideas than those who were stimulated. Why? Because when you're bored, your mind starts wandering. And this mental daydreaming is where creative ideas often come from. When your brain isn't focused on a specific task, it taps into the subconscious, where it can connect dots and make new associations. Author Cal Newport talks about this in his book Deep Work. He explains that giving your brain regular breaks from constant stimulation helps it recharge and come up with fresh ideas. So, the next time you feel the urge to scroll through your phone out of boredom, resist it. Instead, let your mind wander. You might just stumble on your next great idea. Here's a simple strategy. Schedule boredom time. It sounds counterintuitive, but setting aside 10-15 minutes a day where you do absolutely nothing, no phone, no distractions, can actually supercharge your creativity. A 2014 study from the University of Central Lancashire found that participants who engaged in a boring task before brainstorming came up with more creative uses for objects than those who weren't bored. If doing nothing feels weird, you can also try activities that allow your brain to wander. Going for a walk, doodling, or even washing dishes can trigger that daydreaming state. Give it a shot. You might be surprised at how quickly your creativity levels soar. If you're enjoying these insights, don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss the next chapters that will unlock your creative potential. Chapter 4. Reverse Engineering Genius. Deconstructing the Masters. Want to know a secret? You don't have to reinvent the wheel to be creative. One of the most effective ways to boost your own creativity is by studying how the greats do it, and then breaking down their process. This isn't about copying, it's about understanding the steps behind the genius. Take Pablo Picasso, for example. Before developing his revolutionary Cubist style, he spent years mastering traditional painting techniques. He deconstructed everything he learned, then reassembled it in a totally unique way. According to the book Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, every artist gets asked the question, where do you get your ideas? The honest artist answers, I steal them. What Kleon means is that all creativity is built on the work of others. You just need to figure out how to put your own spin on it. Here's a simple strategy. Pick a creative work that inspires you. It could be a song, a movie, a piece of art, or even a business idea. Then, reverse engineer it. Ask yourself, what makes this work so effective? Is it the structure, the storytelling, or the combination of elements? Break it down into its core components, then think about how you could apply those techniques to your own projects. This approach isn't just for artists. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk use it too. Musk has famously said that he uses first principles thinking to break down complex problems and rebuild solutions from scratch. By understanding the foundational principles behind a product or idea, you can remix and innovate in new ways. According to a study in the Harvard Business Review, leaders who apply reverse engineering to study innovations in other fields are 34% more likely to create breakthrough ideas in their own industry. So, next time you're stuck, don't reinvent, deconstruct. Chapter 5. Failure Forward. Why creativity thrives on mistakes. Most people are terrified of failure. But here's the thing. Failure is one of the best teachers when it comes to creativity. In fact, many of the world's greatest creative minds owed their success to repeated failures. As Thomas Edison famously said after inventing the light bulb, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Here's why failure is so powerful. When you make a mistake, your brain is forced to problem solve in ways it wouldn't have if everything went smoothly. This process of adjusting and adapting helps you think outside the box and come up with new, creative solutions. There's also some fascinating research behind this. A 2016 study from Northwestern University found that early career failure increased the long-term success rate of scientists by 14%. The key was resilience. Those who embraced their mistakes learned from them and came back stronger. So, how can you start failing forward? The trick is to reframe how you think about failure. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, view it as part of the creative process. Try setting up low-risk experiments where failure is likely but not disastrous. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, launch a small pilot project. If you're an artist, try a new technique that's outside your comfort zone. In the book Creativity, Inc., Ed Catmull, co-founder of Pixar, talks about how they embrace failure during the creative process. He says, mistakes aren't a necessary evil. They aren't evil at all. They are an inevitable consequence of doing something new. Pixar even has a saying, fail fast, fail early. The sooner you make mistakes, the quicker you can correct them and move forward with better ideas. The bottom line? Don't be afraid to fail. Creativity thrives on mistakes, and each one brings you closer to a breakthrough. If you found this information valuable, don't forget to subscribe. Join us for more tips and strategies to unleash your creative potential and explore new horizons.